I figured we don't need to take the full hour. I figured kind of 35 minutes or something like that would be more than enough to get into it. Is that okay with you?
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right. Awesome. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm here with Paulson from High Level. Man, it's really good to have you here. How you doing?
Absolutely. Good to be here actually. And I've heard of you a couple of times in the community, so it's actually really cool to meet you in meet you online and actually do a session.
Yeah, it's a funny uh, we've never met. I've just done some of the trainings and stuff, and it's just a kind of funny thing. So I think I've met like everyone else in the team except you, but I'm glad that you managed to join the call. Yeah, so I guess we kind of want to get into it. By the way, do you like the high level colors that I've tried to get on the LEDs on the
Yeah,
background, the
I do.
orange? Yeah,
I do like it.
that's just for you guys. So
Thank you.
what I really wanted to talk about, and I know you've got a lot of the training, like the SaaS training, which you're even wearing a SaaSpreneur t-shirt with the training and with you guys. Our kind of mission is to help agency owners generate $2,000 a month from
Okay.
each one of their clients. We
Okay.
like the idea of selling $25,000 funnels or $24,000 funnels. And we figured if you've got 10 or 12 of them, it's 24K a month. And I think the SaaS platform is a really big part of that.
Sure.
Does that make sense so far?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the key component.
So let's kind of jump into this a little bit then, based on the stuff that you've been doing and the stuff that you guys have learned recently, because the SaaS has come on such a massive way, and what High Level has done has come on a massive way, and your kind of overall mission statement at high level. Where do you think some of the main selling opportunities are for businesses partnering with High Level or using High Level in order to start charging, 2,000 a month? Where are you seeing those?
Well, I think in the recent last couple of months, we've seen a new trend essentially, I would say. And those of you that, if this is your first time ever interacting with me, just want to give you a quick background. I built two agencies in the past, one in the dental space, another one in the automotive space. And that's from 2014 all the way to 19 before I started as part of the leadership team in High Level. And I can tell you how to build a consultative type $5,000 package dental agency. And I can also show you how to build a low ticket $500 retainer with an automotive kind of space. Both I've learned so many different things. My dental agency, I would say, was a whole lot more successful, and we got upwards of close to six figures a month. And the automotive agency was in the early stages of starting it. So like 2018 to 19 is when I started it, and that's around the time I took the opportunity to join High Level. All to tell you that I'm gonna share from practical experiences on this call. I have no specific agenda, nothing to sell you. You're probably already a high level customer if you're watching this and no mic. So yeah, so let's talk about the latest recent trends that we're seeing a lot of agencies go local, and they're having a lot of success versus large franchises versus large businesses. And the reason why local is working very well is because I think they're simply just underserved, right? They just don't have enough option to choose from at the price points, and they like the handshakes. They like to interact with another human being that they can walk into and meet with and have a sip of coffee with and talk business with. And I think that's the differentiation versus the features. And when it comes to specific strategies, we can talk about it a little further if you want to, as this call kind of progresses.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, good. So that's a great place to start, and thank you for giving a bit of background there. Um, and for anyone kind of watching who maybe isn't familiar with High Level as a platform and this kind of concept of SaaS, because what you guys are offering, I think a lot of people have tried to sort of duct tape and stitch together themselves, but you actually just have it as a service. To me, it was a bit of a godsend because I was like, oh my god, I'm already logging into 15 platforms. Why don't I just consolidate this down, sell it as my own thing? It's all white labeled. All of our customers as consultants log in and they do it themselves. High level does a lot. If we wanted to kind of talk about how it could be used as an agency for our customers, how do you guys pitch that?
So our direct customers are the agencies themselves, and the business model of SaaS is not new. It's pretty vintage, if you ask me. So, like, those of you that might be watching and you might have been in like the IT space, if you're familiar with the IT space, back in the 90s and early 2000s, right? We would have to go buy a computer, let's say like a Compaq or a IBM, and then later on we would have to go buy the CDs that were the Windows XP, Millennium, and all these different software programs that you would have to go get like a technical person or a cousin that's a little bit more savvy that's going to come over to the house and spend some time for 8 hours and install the CD. That person is the managed service provider that connects a software and a hardware. And if you look at the marketing space, that's a missing bridge for small business owners. They know they want to automate their business, they don't know how to go about it. They know platforms exist and they don't know which one's relevant to them, which is where we're seeing marketing agencies as the perfect bridge to be that managed service provider and collect a subscription model revenue for the technology they provide versus just the service of hours. And it's really interesting because this allows agencies to get rid of their churn problem that is, really bad across the board. And you don't have to focus as much on sales. You can focus on your
Mm.
IP, you can focus on your technology and figure out what makes sense for the industry that you're serving.
I'm so glad you said that, because one of the kind of core tenets that we try to teach is it is infinitely easier to keep a customer and continue working with them. It's so much more profitable. And it sounds obvious, and yet the amount of people I know who will try to chase new leads and sales with a new product, I'm like, why don't you just really kind of dig in with who you're working with right now? So if we can dig into that a little bit, what are some of the strengths that you think something like High Level brings in order to maximize retention, to help with delivery, make sure that we're keeping on board, and like you say, reducing that churn, which in my opinion, that's the biggest profit suck to most agencies.
Yeah, absolutely. So the thing with so let's talk about the the genesis of High Level, right? We were all agency owners ourselves. Back then, this is like 2017, 2018. If you wanted to fulfill a client, you're gonna go grab a ClickFunnels account, you're gonna go grab a Active Campaign account, you're gonna have a Zapier account, Slide Broadcast, CallRail, maybe some WordPress, maybe some lead pages, random bunch of like I would say 10 or 11 softwares that you kind of have to have, and you're duct taping this all together. Maybe even something else for emails, and another something else for SMS marketing, because a lot of them back then only did one-way text messages. Then most of them didn't do the two-way text messages. But anyways, you're duct taping all these solutions for a small business owner. High Level has taken the best features of almost every platform and put it into one place. It's about at the 80% mark. You're not going to get a 100% replacement, but you'll get the 80% of the best features on almost every platform. We have over 400 to 500 features, right? And it's turned into what I call an operating system, right?
Yep.
You can decide what you want to build with it, like it's Legos. Like if you are a video advertising agency versus an SEO versus blogger versus influencer versus standard Facebook ads, Google ads, you can take maybe 20 out of the features of the 4 500 and really just build a solution. You don't need the rest. So we have a very wide open base, I would say, as an operating system that you can build on. That's really the big differentiation. And I think the one thing that keeps High Level ahead of the curve than anybody else is we're very good at listening to the customers and the agency owners and developing what they are missing, right?
Mm.
A lot of the other platforms do not do continuous development like we do. So really competition looking this way, they have to outdevelop us, and we're about 4 years ahead anyway. And
Mm.
the feedback is built around agency owners, not
Mm.
their customers, right?
Mm.
Agency owners come and tell us, hey, we need this on the funnel page. We need that on the video thing. We need this on the AI. We need that on, zapping something together. And we go build that out and then roll it out. I mean, almost every single week, I mean,
Yeah.
15, 20 features are coming out.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that my YouTube and Loom is full of Sean's videos on
Yeah,
every Friday, like clockwork, just with new stuff coming out, which is kind of exciting for me as a customer because I get to push those to my clients, which makes, frankly, it look like we're continuing partnering and we're continuing developing and we're continuing education. So it's a really interesting way of building a relationship, kind of this three-tiered relationship. It's no longer a case, and I used to work very closely with a couple of large CRMs, and yet I've never known a company like High Level to have such a strong listenership with their community, and the fast turnaround. To me, that's a really important thing that you guys have got going on.
absolutely. And I think we built based on what you want as a agency owner. And I think that's a song that we're going to keep singing for a long time. And we're going to be pretty melodious with what the market wants.
Yeah.
Now, going back to how do we sell $2,000 a month to a small business owner? The strategies matter a lot. Mike, do you want to maybe give me an idea of what your audience usually lean towards when it comes to strategy? And I can share some of the things that are working now.
Yeah, great. So I think a big thing I'm noticing, so 95% of our guys are agencies, and our predominant thing is we teach you how to sell a $25,000 funnel. And I think High Level is a really good platform to do, frankly, 75% of the heavy lifting with that, right? What the majority of their clients want are more closed sales, more recurring revenue, and a lot of them think they want more leads, but in actual fact, what a lot of my clients are saying, what a lot of my agencies, and guys, you can comment on this, by the way, and kind of chats and send some things in if I'm wrong, but what they're seeing is that their clients, be they consultants, we do have a few people in the dentist space as another example. What they're actually doing is they're not utilizing their current database as much as they should. They think they need more leads. In actual fact, what they need to do is close the leads they're already getting. Does that make sense for a start?
Yeah, I think that's an important piece, right? Organically, if you bring back previous customers, that should be step one versus going after new business.
Yeah, 100%. So we try to get them to, a lot of them are booking calls. That's a big part of it. And I think for most, part of the problem that you guys face is that for most agencies, they don't know a lot of the different strategies they can use to get people on calls, right? Whereas you and I, like, well, there's a ton of reactivate. I mean, High Level itself has what, 4 or 5 different ways of sending messages and reactivating people through a database. So that's one of the biggest roadblocks I think they face, is they're not even entirely sure, well, how can I even get my customers more calls and more people calling up into the office to try and book some sales.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's funny because when we were at like 1800 or less than 2000 agencies using the platform, we did like an evaluation of all the agencies. This is way before SaaS mode. And we realized that less than 600 agencies at the time, this is like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, less than 600 agencies had more than two sub accounts that were active with leads, meaning new leads were coming in. That means they were servicing less than two clients, right?
Yep.
And it's under 600 out of the 1800. So one
Yeah.
third of the entire community
Wow.
had less than two clients,
Yeah.
right?
Wow.
So we started going through this thing and we were like, man, is the agency game a slap on LLC, call yourself an agency? Is that
Yeah.
it? That's
Yeah.
that's what it seems like, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
we needed to do something about it. And that's
Hmm.
when we started doing, 10K in 10 days workshops. We started doing monthly workshops. We went all out on education and we're continuing to do all out on education. We have now courses internally. Right now, I'm doing a 5-day challenge, Mike, with a ton of agencies who don't have a client, and
Mhm.
within 10-15 days we're getting them a client with certain strategies. So if anybody in your community wants access to that, I'm happy to provide that for
Yeah,
free.
great. I'm sure we'll get that
But
along. Yeah.
either way, it's a problem. The sales thing is a problem because if you look at psychologically, right, what we input into our minds is what's going to be outputted through our mouths. So when we go into sales, all those technology videos that you're watching is what you shoot out with your mouth on sales. And
Mm.
typically what happens is you're overloading the prospect with a lot of possibilities, right? That's the
Yep.
trend I've seen
Yep.
now, coached over 30,000 agency owners today, right? I'm
Yeah.
like, everybody makes the same mistakes of talking about too many things, especially when it comes to SaaS. So in the 5-day challenge, what I've taught, Mike, is doing the Trojan horse strategy, right? The Trojan horse idea of going and leading with one specific feature and nothing else.
Mhm. Mhm.
Wait about 3 to 4 days, maybe even a week, reach back out to the client as if you're having a check-in call, and expand them to the rest of the features. That's been working
Yep.
in a fascinating way across the board. Nearly half of the people in the 5-day challenge are getting customers from the Trojan horse strategy.
Yep. And this is that method actually is something you mentioned right at the start of the SaaSpreneur program. That was to me the biggest one of the biggest takeaways, and certainly something I want more people to follow because, like you say, something like high level with over 500 features. I mean, I would say if we use it literally every day, and we're maybe only using 50% of the features, right? And I think when we try to get too we get too excited about it, we try to push all that stuff onto the customer. And exactly as you say, if we take a look back and say, actually, if their number one thing is they get a lot of inbound phone calls and they're missing them and they're not able to catch up with those calls, let's just set up one thing that just captures those calls and book something onto them anyway, right? And then once you've got that conversation going with them, it's 100 times easier. Back in the day, we used to call it land and expand. That's how we would sell software back in the day, right? And
Yeah,
I don't. It just seems crazy to me that more and more people aren't becoming super. Why do you think that is? Why don't you think people want to do that? If you're
because I
working with these
think
guys right
I
now,
I think you get excited, right? I think you
yeah.
get excited because of the possibilities. Because a lot of the market, like, I'm not a techie person, right? Like, I don't care about technology. I don't care about the features. I'm a business development person. I'm a sales
Mm,
guy. So my mind is very I don't get into the analytics. I'm not an analytics thinker. So like I stay in the macro, big umbrella, big picture, and I
mm,
can never get into the small line items. And someone like me, it's kind of easy for me to go to the market and be like, okay, this is what they need. Let's just provide that.
mm.
But a lot of the technology providers, a lot of the agency owners, most of them are analytic thinkers, and they really dive and get
Oh, interesting.
excited about the technology. And
Yeah,
that's why a lot of you are in marketing, because you like the
yeah.
technology. So what happens is you know what they want, but they don't value what they don't have. So what you do is generally just naturally push, push, push on sales versus a pull of imitation of what's the minimalistic thing that they need. And a lot of agencies think that we're all what's the word, we're traumatized from account management, right? We're like, holy crap, this guy's going to call me at 9 o'clock. He's going to cancel me. My mortgage is going to be on hold.
Yep.
That's the traumatic experience a lot of experienced agencies have came from. So what do they do up front? They
Mm,
overpack with so much so they don't have to worry about the cancellation.
mm-hmm,
And because of that churn being a traumatic diagnosis for most agencies,
mm,
you don't think about SaaS the same way. You have to think about technology differently, where once they come in and land in your business,
mm.
they're there to stay for a couple of years. You don't have to sell them and capture revenue up front. They're not canceling for a long time unless technology replaces the technology you provide. So
Yep.
I think it's from trauma, from account management,
Yeah.
as well as excitement of technology, that a lot of people get crazy about.
That's funny. So, what are some of the things that you've seen people really hone in on in terms of feature and delivery to, what is it actually delivered to the client? What are some of the things you've seen people
Yeah.
hone in on
So
that's allowed them
yeah,
to get in?
yeah, great question. So in the 5-day challenge, the one single offer I've seen work left and right, and I even if you don't go through the challenge, it doesn't matter to me. I think you should take the offer and run with it. We have a feature inside our platform called the missed call text back, right?
Yep.
And it's really if an inbound phone call comes in and the business owner misses it, you're just responding automated, just letting the customer, the prospect, whoever the end customer know, hey, I missed your call. Do you want to book directly? Do you want to order food directly? Do you want
Mm-hmm.
to set up something directly and feel that front desk problem? That is to me the Trojan horse that you can lean with, because Trojan horses, what could be a Trojan horse offer? It needs to be quantitative where you can justify it with numbers, right?
I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah.
Yep.
If
Sorry,
you
go
if
on.
you
Yep.
if you cannot justify it with numbers,
Yep.
you're gonna be forever stuck on this feel good argument. So this is why I don't like reviews a lot of times,
Mm,
because the only thing with reviews you can say is the number of reviews. Oh, you have 40
yep.
reviews, I can get you to 100 reviews. But how do you justify each
Yep.
review brought in this many dollars?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
hard. Missed call text back, I can be like, Mike, you missed 100 phone calls.
Yep.
We were able to field 45 of them. And
Yep.
out of the 45, 6 new customers walked in, and each customer for you is worth $1,000. $6,000 we brought in, and I charge you $300. It's very numerical.
Uh-huh.
And if you're going to choose any other Trojan horse offer, I recommend for it to be numerical. Like your
Yeah.
justification needs to be numerical. Now, we know that there's 4 or 5 pillars of features that all business owners need. They need a web chat in their website. They need reviews. They need a pipeline. They need CRM. They need calendars. They probably also need some kind of a monthly newsletter, some kind of an email management, consolidated box. But those are items that you don't need to lead with. Those are things that you turn on. By the way, I noticed that you don't have XYZ. Is it okay if I turn it on for you for free? And
Mm-hmm.
because you're charging $300 for that initial Trojan horse, they just feel like you're over delivering and you don't need to upsell on every single feature. By the time a month goes by, you're in the business delivering 5, 6 different really key components.
So I'm so glad to hear some of that stuff come through there, and something we try to constantly teach is sell money, right? Sell, especially missed money, because there's nothing more painful than missed money. And the callback and text back feature, we have a couple of automations ourselves that it'll basically just get the AI to book a call, right? Hey,
Yeah.
when are you free? All this type of stuff. And people think I've invested way more time and money into the technology than I actually have. I'm like, it's like one line in the automation. And as you state, if you can then attach a number to it, that makes such a massive difference. And then we
Yeah.
can start talking about the other features. In that case, then, what do you think makes the difference between a $2,000 funnel and a $2,000 a month funnel? I mean, in the broadest possible sense,
In the
service,
services.
product.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2,000 one off or 2,000 a month. What's the difference there?
Yeah. So the agency book of business to me should be built on the least churned service, right? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. The least churning service needs to be your main book of business. Whatever you sell for $2,000, so $3,000, $5,000. I mean, I know guys that sell $50,000 snapshots today off of High Level, and that's what they do to
Yep.
franchise. Whatever you sell, that needs to be something that you don't really depend on, but it's nice to have. Like it's like an icing on the cake. So here's what we know: a niched agency, regardless of how well your services are, you are going to experience a 72 to 76% churn rate. So, like a dentist Facebook ad agency, that's all they do for the dentist, right?
Yep.
If you are a traditional agency, let's say you do websites, Facebook ads, Google ads, and maybe a few different industries, your churn goes down to like 52 to 54%. It's still half of the customers that you miss. that you will lose at the end of 3 months. It's a this is on a 90-day mark. Okay.
Mm.
If you are just selling SaaS, you'll be below 5 to 7% churn. Even if you did the hybrid model of providing free Facebook ads and let's say SaaS, you will still be under 15% churn, which is drastically different as a book of business. I'm not saying don't go sell $2,000 services. I'm saying stabilize yourself and land inside the business before selling your $2,000 services, right?
Yep. Yep.
And that's what's going to make the big difference. And that could be funnels, that can be call centers, that can be appointment
Mm.
setters, that can be sales as a service, that can be coaching, that can be whatever you want to sell. And I think that's the way I look at it, Mike.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, and I know that the software tends to be very, very sticky. I think one of the reasons that we've avoided it is because, as you've stated before, everything was kind of duct taped together. And if you managed to white label it, it was very clunky. How are you seeing agencies make that transition from traditional, I would say one on one, because even if they've got a team, there's still one on one work, right? Into that SaaS model, bearing in mind there's no coding, you guys are like, this is yours. What do you want the domain to be?
Sure. Yeah.
Now resell it, right? How are you seeing that transition for some agencies? Because some must make the transition rather than just go into the SaaS, right?
Yeah, so I'll talk about two scenarios,
Great,
right?
yeah.
We've had massive eight-figure agencies come in and they're like, guys, like we have over 1,500 VIP high ticket clients. We're charging them $4,000 or $5,000 a month already. It doesn't make sense for us to go down to a $300 to $500 ticket. What should we do? I tell them very simply, leave them alone. Just leave them
Wow.
alone. There's no need for you to go down and go up and reconfigure a previous customer. They came in for a specific reason. You give them a specific offer. I don't think you should go back and reconfigure a new offer with them because expectations are different. You have to reset a new sales cycle and you're playing off of the original relationship. So I think if you have existing customers, leave them alone. Okay. Whether you're high ticket, low ticket, it doesn't matter. Leave your previous customers alone. Now, how do we migrate into this new world, right? I think you should create a dedicated new service line for software and lead and test out certain sales individuals on your organization. So if you don't, get your appointments up to a point where your calendars are full, right? Organically and paid ads and all of that. But I think you should lead with the software as a specific feature. So miss call text back. Be the expert at that, and that's your Trojan horse. If you're gonna do reviews, be the reviews Trojan horse, right? And here's the thing: we do know that most agencies don't convert high ticket sales anyway, right? So all the missed opportunities you have on sales, go back to them and recycle them with the low ticket offer. Everybody
Mm.
that's no to your $2,000 offer, go back and ask them a few weeks later, hey, I just thought this might be a great opportunity for you. Do you miss phone calls all the time? Do you lack reviews? Do you lack a pipeline? Do you think a team calendar would make sense for you? Like,
Mm.
go through the low tickets and bring them back, and that's the first step. Now, the other migration, the second scenario I want to talk about, a lot of agencies are established in a certain industry. They are the dental experts or they are the real estate experts. So that also gives it a kind of a limitation of how to jump into SaaS. Here's the thing I want to share that I've seen recently, and I've changed my mind on this personally. I'm telling you, I was the Sam Ovens, one offer, one thing for one person kind of guy, like very much a assembly line oriented
Mm.
person. But with SaaS, you don't have to niche down.
Mm.
And I'm seeing that left and right. What you do need to do is focus on a single feature and be
Mm.
the expert at that technology, like niche with the technology. But
Mm-hmm.
if
Mm-hmm.
you go local, you can work with the cleaning companies, the mom and pop shop, the restaurants, the real estate agent, the mechanic. And the first 30, 40 customers allows you to kind of test out different things, different industries, collect some data, and then you can make a decision on where you want to build your software line. So I don't think you even need to niche down when it comes to SaaS. But those are the two big scenarios I see all the time
Yep.
in agencies trying to launch their SaaS from a migration standpoint.
See, that's very interesting because when you say niche down, what are some of that? Do you mean just to industry?
My traditionally, that's how I've thought about it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so something that we've really been working with our guys on is to try and exactly the same as you, ignore the industry and like
yeah,
you say, focus on the problem. Because I know that uh, landscapers, restaurants, and as you say, local mom and pop stores, someone's calling up like, hey, do you have this piece of hardware? And missed calls is a problem. So
right.
now I'm not a marketing funnel expert or a marketing expert. I'm actually with a missed call, $1,000 an hour company. That's what we do. We generate you $1,000 in an hour just through missed calls. And there's a ton of different people who need that solution because they have that problem, right?
Yeah.
So I'm really glad to hear that you guys are saying, come in with that, say that this is the number that you're going to drive up or drive down. Here's some technology that can do it. And wouldn't you know it, we actually have a piece of software that can kind of run this for you in the background where you can bring people on. Am I understanding that kind of
One hundred,
process in a
one
nutshell?
hundred percent 100%. And also to add to that, if you lead with technology instead of marketing, the perception of who you are is actually different. They see
Mm,
you as a almost an IT person
mm,
versus a Facebook lead generator.
mm.
There is a perception difference. So they see you as like the guy that can automate and glue things together versus, oh, this guy's gonna take $2,000 from me to run Facebook ads that never worked.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And we've all both been that person and hired that person as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, exactly.
So, talk to me about then what are some of the mistakes that you have seen people make, particularly when they have something like high level, as a tool? They go out to market. Maybe they have decided on the niche problem. Maybe they haven't. What are some of the common mistakes you're seeing people make that maybe they realize at some point and they turn it around?
Yeah, I think the first number one mistake I've seen people do is they lead with many things
Mm,
and they don't have a single focus, right? So like they'll go to the prospect and say, "Oh, I can do reviews, I can do missed calls, I can do pipeline, I can do calendars, all the technology
yep.
overloading," right? And what that does is you come off kind of desperate. Like it's like
Yeah.
dating, right? Like you have to
Yeah.
kind of play hard to get in dating to have a chance because it's about the confidence, it's about who you are and how you present yourself, not necessarily um you offering to just pay for dinner, right? Like nobody
Mm,
cares about the dinner being paid. They care about the experience, right? So
yep.
so I think that's the number one mistake I've seen people do is leading with many offers all at the same time. You need to
Mm,
concise it down to one single offer, land and expand, like you said, Mike. The second mistake I've seen is merging. Right, a lot of agencies merge services and products together, and they
mm,
can they have a hard time differentiating. So what, like for example, they will say, hey, for $300 I will take care of your SaaS as well as Facebook ads,
mm,
right? So what you're doing at that point is just undercutting yourself on the amount of
yep.
hours that you really have to use to deliver Facebook ads, right? So
Yep.
just because you're on low ticket doesn't mean you're doing SaaS,
Yeah.
right?
That's a
so
really,
so
I like that. You're absolutely
so so
100% correct. Yeah.
yeah, so that's a big mistake, right? You want them to manage their own technology and you
Mm,
provide the technology. Like if you need to look at your hours, if you're spending more than 2-3 hours a week on a customer, you're
yep.
doing too much, right? So that's the
Yeah.
second big mistake. The third big mistake is they go too high on the pricing too quick,
Mm,
right? They'll go to 15,000, 20,000, 30,000 way too quick before the relationship is established. You
okay.
need to generate results. You need to generate some sort of a trustable something that you can stand on
Mm.
before you just jump into high ticket. So they jump into high ticket too early sometimes.
Interesting. Okay. That's interesting. That's an interesting take on it. When it comes to positioning some of the stuff that high levels got, because I know that like I'm seeing some of the stuff that hasn't been quite released because I'm also an affiliate and stuff, and that's super exciting. What are some of the pieces coming out that maybe you can talk about that you're really excited about as a, well, we'll say it as a feature set because we're all nerds here. So what are those some of those things that are coming out?
Well, I think high level is going to um, I think it's going to really take on the AI space really
Mm-hmm.
hard in the
Mm-hmm.
next couple of weeks, next couple of months. And that's really where a lot of our focus is. Almost every feature, every aspect inside high level is potentially going to be AI driven, which
Yep.
I think it's hard to describe today,
Yeah.
but I think it's interesting that we're going to go down that route. So it allows agencies to be very trendy, right?
Mm-hmm.
They can go to the local businesses and say, "Hey, did you know you can leverage AI for your local business in a new
Mm.
way," right? Like these are things that they've never even heard of. So it keeps the high level agencies in the forefront of the market. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm really excited about. Then we have our October conference coming up, and I
Yeah, of
know
course. Yeah.
there's a ton of features stacked and stacked, so to be released in October. So I can't talk a lot about it, but
Yep.
um, I think it's gonna be really interesting. We're gonna see 2.0 versions of almost a lot of different features that we already have.
Mm.
And we'll see. And also on the education side, there's going to be a lot of certifications and things
Mm-hmm.
like that that allow you to have a stamp on who you are as an expert of automation. That allows you to go to the market a lot more easier, right? And we look at companies like Salesforce. We look at
Mm-hmm.
companies that are far ahead of us and see if we can compete or at least provide resources like that.
Yep. Yeah. And again, something that I've repeatedly said is the strength of what High Levels is doing right now is a huge part is their community. I think you guys, in terms of the life cycle of your company, it's maybe the fastest I've ever seen an event come together. A lot of them are 10 years in the making before they have something like that. And you guys have got multiple groups, different forums, depending on people's different levels, which is always super, super important.
Yeah.
Um, Paulson, this was really good to catch up with you, finally kind of meet you face to face,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah.
I'm gutted that I won't be out in Texas, unfortunately,
Oh
but
no. Okay.
I know that you guys are going to absolutely crush it and have a fantastic time. So maybe some other time. But in the meantime, um, guys, if you are interested, we do actually have the guys at High Level were very, very kind. Typically, there's a 14-day free trial, but actually they've given me and therefore you a 30-day free trial of SaaS, everything unlocked. No funny business, no nonsense. And what's interesting as well is I've managed to package up all of the stuff that is working for us and our agency in something called a snapshot, which Paulson talked about earlier. If you sign up to our free trial for the 30 days, I'll throw those all in so that you can get up and running. They're super easily labeled, as well as a bunch of other courses and bits and pieces to kind of talk you through that, because there is a lot. But I think we can, as you've kind of stated, we can get clients enrolled pretty quickly on something
Yeah.
like this. So if
Yeah.
you
And
want to
Mike,
sell
if
yourselves,
you're
sorry, go for it. Yeah.
yeah, if you're okay with it, and all of you that are jumping in or
Yeah.
watching, and if you're just struggling to just get your first couple of customers,
Yeah. Great.
feel free to jump into our 5 day challenge. It's absolutely free, and that is gohighlevel.com/5-day-challenge. And we do those in limited amount of times and limited amount of cohorts. So if you don't jump into
Five,
the
number
class,
five.
yeah, it's number five
Yep.
hyphen day hyphen challenge. So go high level.com/, yep, there it is. Yeah,
Awesome.
if you jump into that, you'll be able to get access to that. And we charge, a lot of money for someone who doesn't have a high level account. So jump into Mike's, program, and I know he's got a ton of resources. And Kelsey and a lot of our affiliate teams talk greatly about you. So I
Oh,
know
thank
there's
you.
great things there. And if anybody wants to join that challenge, it's free. It basically helps you get a client as quick as you can, so you can pay for your own high level instead of having to pay for out of pocket. So either way, Mike, I appreciate you having me, man, as a guest.
Not at all, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. And
Okay,
thank you very much for watching, guys. And we will catch up
take
with you
care.
everyone later. Bye,
All
everyone.
right,
Speak to you
bye
later.
bye.
Bye, guys.